federal prosecutors reveals the conditions of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort's detention. The filing includes taped conversations in which Manafort has said he's being treated like a VIP and enjoys unique privileges not afforded to other inmates. This comes just days after Manafort's lawyers said he was in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Paula Reid. She's in Washington. Paula, what are the specifics of Paul Manafort's conditions and treatment in his current detention facility?
Well, Elaine, they are VIP indeed. He not only has his own phone and computer and can email whoever he wants, he has a private sort of self-contained living area. And while this may not sound that sexy, he has access to all of his files, just like he would at home. And again, while that doesn't sound too exciting to many people, when you are facing a trial like that, this is enormous. That's a huge perk, and that can really help you prepare for your case, in addition to the fact that he is in communication with his lawyers multiple times a day. So this is about as good as it gets for someone in jail. But it's also important to note it is very unusual for a white-collar defendant to be incarcerated ahead of his trial. You may remember the judge put him in jail because he was accused of trying to tamper with witnesses ahead of that upcoming trial.
Right. So the filing specified that Manafort spoke with his attorneys over 100 times throughout the past 3 weeks. If he has had access to his attorneys, all of his files, and a workspace, what reasons would Manafort have for wanting to delay trial?
Right, and the judge said the same thing. She said one of the reasons that you've signed it is because you're so far away in the middle of the state, away from your attorneys, that it's hard to prepare. But so she shot that down, and she issued an order requiring him to be able to spend at least 8 hours a day working with his lawyers leading up to this trial. Now, the other reason he gave was because there were so many documents related to this case and all the charges that he faces, and he and his attorneys need time to go through them. But once again, unlike most people who were incarcerated ahead of their trial, he actually has access to those documents. And then there was also a sort of interesting note. They have been recording some of his calls, and allegedly in these calls, prosecutors say that he sort of makes a vague reference to some sort of strategy that he and his lawyers are using. He wants to do his other trial. He has 2 trials, one in Virginia, one in D.C. He's trying to move the one in Virginia. It seems in these conversations they recorded that he wants to push the Virginia trial after his Washington trial. It didn't specify what the strategy is, but that's another one of the reasons pushing this request.
Yes, so the trial set to be held July 25th in Alexandria, Virginia. He has requested for it to be located to a more rural city. What's the reason for that request, and how likely is it for the judge to grant it?
That's right. He's looking for a more rural area because he wants the jury pool to be pulled from people who are more likely to have voted for the president and supported the president. Now, I don't think it really truly matters what your political beliefs are. Oftentimes when you're in a jury box on what is essentially a white-collar trial, it's really not going to matter who you voted for so much. This is, of course, a very politically charged case. Unfortunately for him, even if he got out where there were a lot of people who voted for the president, there's going to be a lot of work to sort of sift through people and look for people who would look at this objectively. So I don't know that he's necessarily going to get a totally different outcome if he moves this case. Well, one thing that's interesting is the judge pointed out, said, wait a second, Washington, D.C. is where your other trial is, and it's likely that people there did not. It's true, actually, that the people here did not necessarily all vote for the president. So why didn't you make the same request there? So it appears the judge is sort of, really skeptical about a lot of the claims that Manafort and his attorneys are making. Some of them are perhaps legitimate, but others is just sort of the aggressive defense that you want to give any kind of client who's paying you this much money.
Right. Paula Reid in Washington for us. Paula, thank you.